social slime, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air, fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slide, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear, fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Game On right here on UCY.TV, and I'm your host for the next 2 hours. Today's Sunday, May the 22nd, the long weekend up here in Canada, and not a bad day. The sun's out, wind's out of the north, a little cool, but it's nice once you get out of the wind, so it's not too bad of a day for the May 24th weekend up here. Anyways, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today. I was just on the horn with somebody from Revolution Radio from Oregon, Portland, Oregon, trying to call into Revolution Radio, which I did a show on last night. And how that rang into my Skype today, I have no idea, but had an interesting conversation with him. And that went all the way up to, he called me, 10-2, noon. And got off with him at 11:59. So, but we were talking about some things, and he was talking about how militarized the police have become in that, and that where he used to talk to them, he doesn't want nothing to do with them anymore. They've gone off the deep end, and same thing's happening here. But we keep trying to clue them in. That's what we got to keep doing. Try to get to them. Anyways, just a really quick little story here on how bad it's getting here. I mean, this happened. Same thing. We had the DGR, the Deep Depository for Nuclear Waste along Lake Huron shoreline here. A couple, 2-3 years ago now, and what the police were doing was going around to people's homes, and anybody that the so-called authorities thought might protest against this ridiculous idea of burying nuclear waste just off the shore of Lake Huron, the police were dispatched to their homes to ask some questions, all under the idea of community policing and safety and all the rest of this nonsense. These are people being targeted in a small town in rural Ontario. Freaked a lot of people out. We have more police in this town than you can shake a stick at, as this so-called open discussion on burying nuclear waste along the lake took place. Well, if you know anything about these meetings, they've already come to the conclusion they want before they get into this stuff. But it was the police presence that really freaked a lot of people out. You know, it was held at the Legion, and people were being searched going in and out. This is supposed to be an open, public meeting, discussion and input people's ideas on why or why not to bury nuclear waste along the shore of Lake Huron. So, people say, well, if you're upset, you should phone your MPP or your MP or your state representative or write them a letter. There is no point discussing anything with these people, okay? It's just a waste of ink. It's a waste of a protest sign. People got to get past this somehow. These people do not represent you. They can't represent you. They represent the state. Nobody can represent you because the whole system is set up on the idea of the fictional man or woman. Okay? You're not even in the game here. Right? They don't recognize you. They only recognize the fictional you. Okay? So anyways, this woman, I know they cut back the autistic help for people here in Ontario. So this little woman who is, 5'4", and who was a part-time nurse, she had a plan to go to the MPP's office, that's the Member of Parliament for Provincial Parliament, in Ontario here. So she has a son who's autistic, and they cut off the help for all these autistic kids. And so she's ticked off. So she planned on going down to her MPP's office and doing a protest. Anyways, so she had her plan all figured out. And it was on Friday. She was going to go down there and sit outside the office and hand out brochures and stuff to let people know what was going on. So she intended to park herself outside her MPP's constituency office, hand out flyers, and hold a solo protest against new provincial autism rules that mean her 6-year-old son is no longer eligible for intensive behavioral intervention. She even told the staff in Liberal Bob Delaney's office that she was coming. That would be the mistake. Until Peel Regional Police banged on her front door at 8:30 Friday morning. I ran downstairs and saw 2 police officers and opened the door. I asked what happened, right? Thinking something was going on. Turns out they were there to talk to her about what she would be up to at Delaney's office that day, she says. I told the police, really, they are scared of me? Question. It was 5'4", part-time nurse, Oakville Hospital. I felt intimidated, she said. It was a surprise and a shock, and I felt like I'm being threatened. The officers listened politely, and the brief conversation ended pleasantly after they confirmed she could stand outside the office and hand out flyers but not touch the door, she said. The episode reflecting how fraught the battle over recent changes to children autism services has become across the province followed her repeated calls to Delaney's office. She had been requesting a meeting, including 2 calls on Thursdays, so she could explain how the new rules would affect her son Xavier. After being told, Delaney, who says he spoke with the lady at length over the phone some weeks ago, was booked. She told staff she would come anyway to hand out flyers and talk to anyone in the vicinity about how families are being affected. Delaney said Friday his staff, 2 women, met with community liaison officers for a conversation Friday morning before the officers visited her home because they did not want to be subjected to a confrontation that they felt ill-prepared to handle. Delaney claimed the woman, after numerous calls to his office, was very angry and rude with my staff and used the word we, suggesting she wouldn't be alone. We have not heard from the 2 officers who came and left, and the constituent didn't show up, said Delaney. So what happened, I don't know. So anyways, the new Ontario Autism Program announced by the Ministry of Children and Youth Services on March 29th includes $333 million investment in services over the next 5 years, but The initiative has been overshadowed by a controversial decision that children age 5 and older would no longer be eligible for intensive behavioral intervention funded by the province. That move affects more than 3,500 families, meaning children 5 years and older, many of whom have been waiting half their lives for treatment, will be removed from the waiting list over the next 2 years, and that most receiving treatment are now considered too old and will be transitioned also out of the program. Many parents who can't afford the $50,000 a year cost for private therapy have reacted with distress and outrage. The $8,000 grant to kids taken off the wait list barely covers 2 months. And the new applied behavior analysis program they've been promised instead of IBI won't be fully rolled out for 2 years. Families have been calling the government to reverse the age cap and have launched an aggressive social media campaign dubbed Autism Doesn't End at 5. They've protested 3 times at Queen's Park with children in tow and lobbied almost every MPP. They've been tossed out of the legislature's public gallery, held pop-up protests around Ontario, and been blocked by Liberal MPPs on Twitter. They've also had the support of both opposition party union representing teachers and educational assistants and the Association of Public School Boards. We've never in all these years seen a reaction like this, said Laura Kirby McIntosh of Thornhill, who founded the Ontario Autism Coalition, the parent advocacy group at the forefront of the storm a decade ago. She and 4 other parents are slated to meet with Premier Kathleen Wynne on Tuesday. She said, Paliang Pong, I can't say her name, the lady that started this story anyways, is among a group of hundreds of outspoken and determined parents who are not going to give up. But their frustration levels mounted this week. In an unusual move at Queen's Park on Tuesday, the NDP and Conservative opposition joined forces with a resolution to support IBI over age 5. About 200 parents came to the legislature throughout the day, but the resolution was defeated, with not one Liberal voting in favor. The police arrived at Palipeon's door Friday amounted to a massive overreaction to the threat of a vocal mum handing out pamphlets, Kirby McIntosh said. It sounded almost comical at first, she added, but then it was terrifying. This kind of intimidation tactic tells me how petty and scared this government is. Recounting the story hours later, Palipeon broke down in tears. The stress of the incident and weeks of fighting for treatment for which Xavier has waited 3 years was too much. At Peel Regional Police officer would not confirm any details, calling the incident a private matter and that was not an issue of public safety. Xavier can feel all this stress, says his mom. I'm a parent of an autistic kid. His dad and me are the only ones he has. I cannot do anything to jeopardize him. Does she still plan to protest? I will, but not today. This is a kind of garbage that's going on all over the place. Okay? You, the people, have no say. Now, if you're a lobbyist for a national company, you got all kinds of say. This is upside down, backwards, screwed up, everything else, okay? I had the same thing happen to me. I mean, I phoned the CAO and wanted to verify something and decide whether I wanted to go to the council meeting the next day, and told them to get a hold of me by 11 the next day. And then while I was waiting for the 11 o'clock call, in come a whole troop of police trying to have me get me jacked up so that they could ban me, label me as a threat, so that they could ban me from speaking at the town hall. Okay, now who's serving who here? Okay, anybody that's foolish enough to think that any elected official serves the people better give their head a shake. Okay, my MPP will not meet with me. Okay. It's supposed to be my MPP, that's supposed to be my representative, will not meet with me. And they're running scared because they know that they don't represent the people. Now, this is another typical story where this lady and those protesting the changes of the autism program should get that. They need to get that. Protesting out front of an OPP or OPP or an MP's office is a complete and total waste of time. These people do not represent you. They have never represented you. Okay? That's the first step people have to get through their thick skulls. Okay? Your government, I don't care where you are, does not serve the people. Therefore, it's not your government. You didn't vote for them because you can't vote for them. Okay? That's an impossibility. You, the man or woman, it is impossible for you to vote for any government official. You act simply as a proxy for the legal entity. You are not the legal entity. You are flesh and blood, which is not a legal entity. Okay, a legal entity is something made up in the mind by these lunatics that call themselves your governments, made up by these lunatics who call themselves the lawyers. So it's not real. Okay? But then they hold you as the surety for all the debt created by this fictional thing called the government. And people got to get that through their thick skulls. And quit giving your kids vaccinations. That's the other thing that kills me. You got all these parents with autistic kids. Can you not understand why your kids are autistic? And what you do is you see, she says, well, the other two parties in the House came to their aid or came to their side, knowing full well that the party in power has a majority, so they can play the game coming on your side, knowing full well it don't mean nothing because, well, the party in power has a majority, so they play that game, you know. So that when the next election comes along, you're so pissed at the one party, and these other parties have been putting up this flag that they're there to help you, but if they were only in power, we could help you. Vote for us. And then you vote for them and find out the party you put in to replace the party that was giving you a hard time is worse than the party you just threw out. People got to wrap their minds around that. We got to cut this loose. Now, I did see a thing last night which kind of made me smile. It's a stop sign. I like this. I really like this one. And I'm not allowed to recommend anything. I suppose I could suggest. But it was a stop sign. So you got the big octagon sign with stop on it. And then underneath, somebody wrote on with, either wax, crayon, or whatever. It just says stop. So you drive up to the stop sign, it says stop. And then they wrote underneath of it, paying taxes. I think that's brilliant. I mean, there's a lot of stop signs. You don't have to make a sign. You don't have to hang up a sign. There's the sign. The sign's already freaking there. Right? So you can write whatever you want under the word stop. Stop paying taxes, right? Stop the insanity, stop the vaccination, stop the chemtrails. I mean, the sign's already there. You don't have to think about it. There's a stop sign, write whatever the hell you want on that stop sign, which you can because you paid for the damn stop sign. Okay, it was your labor to put the stop sign there, so you can claim it's your stop sign. And start scribbling on these stop signs. Let's turn every stop sign into a billboard. Inexpensive, and it works. I love it. So I have to go get me something to write on the stop sign with and have some fun with it. We put some flyers up in town on the billboards and like on the notice boards and that. And they disappeared so fast, it was ridiculous. I was talking to somebody else did the same thing, and, they were pulled down so quick. Nobody probably ever even saw them. But what are they going to do? Tear down all the stop signs? I mean, besides, make work then, right? They clean it off. And don't put paint on it so they can't get it off. We don't want to damage the sign. There's all kinds of chalks and inks and, the stuff whatever it is they use to write on car windshields and that, it just washes off. Get some of that stuff. And it's not graffiti, and you have a right to hang and put a sign up on a post, so you have a right, the stop sign's already on the post, so you're just adding to the sign that's already there. I don't see where that could be a problem for anybody. And we should have some fun with it. I like it. But as far as these parents go that are looking to the government to help them, you folks got a lot to learn yet. But you will learn it, you see, because as you are negatively affected, as this woman is and these other people are, then it forces them to do a little bit of research. When you phone up your MPP's office and then the MPP turns around and says, well, let me see, doesn't say, let me see what I can do to help you out because we owe it to you to help you out, turns around and phones the cops and sends the cops to your house at 8:30 in the morning. Just like the cops showed up at my house 15 minutes before the CAO was supposed to call me back. So, yeah, these people are very nervous because, what is the enemy of the state? Truth. Period. That is the enemy of the state. And so if we're going to have something to do with the state, we have a story here, which I think I did before. I'm not sure if I did or not, but anyways, Ontario, which is the corporation, right, to spend $7 billion on a sweeping climate change plan, but we won't fund the families who have severely handicapped kids who suffer from autism. We don't have that money. But we do have $7 billion to spend on a sweeping climate change plan, which is totally fictional. The kid, that little Xavier kid, has autism. Okay, his life's screwed. Likely because of intervention by the government through vaccines or pharmaceuticals or whatever. Bad food the parents were eating before the kid was even conceived. But that's a real problem. That's a real kid. But they don't deal in reality. The governments don't deal in reality. They deal in fictional plays, fictional theater, that made up in the mind, the arts. That's what they deal in. They never deal in reality. So they're going to spend $7 billion on a sweeping climate change plan. Well, climate change, other than the fact that climate changes every second of every day, this is a spin-off of the global warming. So when they're talking about climate change plan, they're actually talking about man-made induced global warming. And all of this stuff is planned. It's a fictional plan to hurt real people. And it does. It hurts real people. And we can no longer put up with this nonsense. It has to end. How we allow some fictional bunch of yo-hos to rule our lives is completely beyond me. Completely beyond me. You're going to spend $7 billion over 4 years on a sweeping climate change plan that will affect every aspect of your life. That's Agenda 21. From what people drive, so now you're going to dictate to everyone what they drive, to how they heat their homes. You're going to dictate to people how they heat their homes and workplaces in a bid to slash the province's carbon footprint, which was another scam cooked up to monetize CO2 and turn CO2 into a trading platform controlled by the guys that brought us climate change and man-made global warming. Legalized by the lawyers who don't deal in law. And we keep putting up with this crap. I don't know what it's going to take. Take more ladies like this lady, I guess, with the autistic son, because each of these people believed that they had a government, believed they could phone up their MP or their MPP and get some results on a problem, not have the police standing at their door at 8:30 in the morning. So on the one hand, I got to thank the government for being such dolts to think that they can use the police. You know, your MPP's office phones up and says, I got this little 5'4" woman with an autistic kid who's concerned about the removal or the end of the program, which ends up to continue. It costs $50,000 a year per kid. And she's not very happy about it. And now we're scared. We're scared. So can you go and visit her? Now maybe we ought to be phoning the police and saying, you know, we were talking to the MPP or the state governor or the state representative or your town city mayor or the city CAOs or city managers, and we were on the phone with them. We became very nervous and we felt intimidated and we're afraid that they're going to come and get us. Can you, the police, go to their house and knock on their door and see if they do it? What they say, oh, that's civil or something. You have to deal with that in a court or something. But when the government calls the police, they're on your doorstep in a flash. There's no difference. But they're not calling that civil. They're calling that a possible threat. This is how they operate. The only purpose of the police is there to protect those who are abusing you. And using this fictional concept of a legal person to enslave you so that they can take advantage of you. And we got to get around that somehow. We most definitely have to get around that. Oh, let's see. Egypt air jets had smoke signals before the crash. I don't know how many. There was a Canadian killed in the air crash. Remember, as a devoted mother, it's always sad when anyone has to die or does die accidentally or otherwise. But I'm not going to spend any time on this trying to figure out if it was shot out of the sky or there was a bomb on board or anything else. That is just a waste of time as far as I can see. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got here. I'm going to go over to the UN here in a minute, but I mean, this is a typical news guy. Here's a guy from the Globe and Mail News, Nikki Nankos, after Trudeau's scuffle, that's his little hoo-ha in the House of Commons, where he allegedly elbowed a lady in the chest, which can't seem to let that die. How strong are the Liberals really? Right? How strong are the Liberals really? Now, I'm not going to read the story because he's going to rattle on about a bunch of stuff, but the fact is they have a majority government. So they're extremely strong because we don't have any checks and balances here. Once you have a majority government, you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want. So he will be just spinning off some nonsense to confuse people. Let's see if I can find anything in here interesting to look at. Let's see. I don't see bean crap in here that looks too interesting. Well, let's look under here. Let me look at this real quick. House Committee, I'll do this really quick. House Committee to review Trudeau's conduct after Commons spat. What's worse, grabbing a member of Parliament or touching the ceremonial mace? That's one of the questions MPs on the Procedure and House Affairs Committee will need to consider as new debate whether Prime Minister Justin Trudeau should be punished for his actions this week. Bad boy, bad boy. Liberal Conservatives and NDP MPs all said Friday that past sanctions of MPs for bad behavior will be reviewed as part of the committee's work. One of the many potential consequences is that Mr. Trudeau could be called to the bar of the House. This would involve standing behind a bar at the entrance of the House of Commons rather than an MP's assigned seat as the Speaker reprimands the member on behalf of the House of Commons. The two most recent cases of an MP being called to the bar occurred in 91 and 202. Both cases involved an MP touching or grabbing the Mace of Ceremony scepter that rests on a table in the House of Commons. Conservative House Leader Andrew Scheer, a former Speaker, said he would expect the committee to take past punishments into consideration, such as for the touching of the mace, and act accordingly. It was not just a symbolic of a symbol. It was physically touching another member without any justification. He said Friday, there's no context that justifies that kind of behavior. So I do think it's a serious matter, and I hope the committee treats it that way. Mr. Trudeau apologized Wednesday and Thursday for grabbing Conservative Gord Brown and accidentally elbowing Ruth Bourassa, but the matter is not over. The Liberal-dominated committee will be asked to determine whether or not Mr. Trudeau's actions violated the concept of parliamentary privilege. I am fully prepared to accept the committee's decision and respect the will of the House, Mr. Trudeau said. Problem is, none of these people represent you. This is all theater. Okay, it is all theater. Let's see what else it says here. Given his apology and the fact that his actions were recorded on video, the committee is highly likely to conclude that Mr. Trudeau's actions were a violation of parliamentary privilege. The next question will turn to the potential for consequences. The concept of parliamentary privilege or immunity protects MPs from being sued for what they say or do in the House of Commons, but there is a flip side to this. The House of Commons has its own justice system, which practices that with practices that are believed to trace back to British medieval tradition. Okay? In theory, the House of Commons could go so far as to imprison an MP on private or private citizen. The power hasn't been used since 1913, when the House had a committee witness imprisoned for 4 months for refusing to answer questions. Another extreme option would be to expel an MP. That has happened 4 times, 2 of which relate to Louis Riel in the 1870s. The last time an MP was expelled was 1947, after Fred Ross was convicted of violating the Official Secrets Act. Given that the Procedure Committee is dominated by Liberal MPs, it is highly unlikely that they will come down too hard on Mr. Trudeau, the leader of their party. The committee will nonetheless have to justify how their decisions compare with past precedences. Liberal MP and committee member Arnold Chan insisted Friday that his colleagues will approach the investigation with an open mind and will ultimately make recommendations for the House of Commons to consider. The fact that the Prime Minister took the time to apologize unreservedly several times to the House as part of the overall evidentiary matters that we would review, he said. The next committee will be May the 31st. NDP MP David Christopherson, a member of the committee, said he expects the members will give the issue precedence over its existing work, which includes a study of how to promote a family-friendly House of Commons. There has been an apology, he said. The question is that sufficient to put the matter to rest or not? And if not, what next? That's kind of where I think we are. So this is what you read, okay? But Mr. Trudeau, the NDP, the Conservatives, the Senate, all have members that are members of the UNPA, the United Nations Parliamentary Assembly. So while you're reading this nonsense in the paper, and people go, that stupid Trudeau, he's a feminist, and he likes gays, and he likes transgenders, and he doesn't have a clue, he's just like his daddy. Well, in a way, he is just like his daddy. His daddy was a member of the Club of Rome, and Justin is a member of the UNPA. Both were pushing for global governance, a global government through the United Nations. And here we have all this hoo-ha that people will discuss at the coffee shops and whatnot. What do you think they should do with Trudeau? Well, I like what that other MP said, and well, they did break the rules, and if we break the rules, we're a shit city, and so on and so forth. But this paper doesn't bring up the fact, none of these papers, none of the media brings up the fact that Justin Trudeau and members of the Green Party, leader of the Green Party, a lot of senators, and members of every political party are members of the UNPA, pushing for a United Nations Parliamentary Assembly which overshadows, supersedes our own governments. You don't see the media saying, well, these guys, while they're in this house, they don't own the house. You didn't elect them to the house because you don't have that capacity to do so. They run with their own judiciary, which you're not privy to. All prime ministers and cabinet are members of the Privy Council for life. All members of the Privy Council take an oath for life of secrecy to the Queen of England, who is the head of state of Canada, which is a corporation, which makes the Prime Minister the CEO of the corporation known as Canada under the Corporation of the Crown. So who the hell do you think your so-called elected officials represent? You? They take an oath to you? No. They're secret agents. Your elected, so-called elected prime minister, who's supposed to be the prime minister of the country, takes an oath of secrecy, not for the term, but for life, to the Queen, who's head of state, crown, corporation, an oath of secrecy. That makes your prime minister a secret agent working on behalf of somebody other than you. That's a breach of trust. A breach of trust is treason. The treason used to bring out a rope and a gallows, but apparently not anymore. We're going to have a committee hearing. Now, the United Nations, where did I put that? Let me see here. We'll just roll with this for the time being, I guess. If I've got the right, no, that's Global Soil Week, sorry. Global Soil Week. I can't even believe this horse shit. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. February, March, April. While I'm looking for what I'm actually looking for. So see, I missed this. I missed this week, May 4th to the 10th of is according to this UN Global Road Safety Week. Now, what they want to do is make it so that you can't drive around in your own private vehicle. Oh, I hate the United Nations. Good God. You know, there ought to be a law. There really ought to be a law. Let me go through this while I'm looking for the actual thing I'm looking for. Okay. We're in May, so I didn't do any of these things. Let's just run through them quickly. May the 3rd, put it on next year's calendar, is World Press Freedom Day. And that's sponsored by UNESCO, Resolution 43. May 8th and 9th, time of remembrance and reconciliation for those who lost their lives during the Second World War, which was specifically set up to bring about the United Nations and Israel. So everyone that died in those wars were basically cannon fodder used to bring forward their agenda. So they ought to remember them because they wouldn't be dead if it hadn't been for the plans of the globalists to bring about Israel and the United Nations. And that alone, that was conspiracy to commit mass murder in order to move a program forward, their program. May 9th and 10th, World Migratory Bird Day. That's sponsored or brought forward by UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, which was started by Maurice Strong, who was a very huge player in this whole mess, who was a Canadian, who was going to run in, I think, 68, in the Trudeau government, was going to run for, and was told by Rockefeller, what do you want to run? When do you want to get involved in politics? We already own both sides. We control both sides. We get a lot more done from outside than inside. We have more influence because we're not tagged to one side. May the 15th is the Day of Families. I want to just get up here. Today is the 22nd. I got a call coming in. Today is the 22nd, which is International Day for Biological Diversity. Let's see what Christopher's up to today. Have I got you on the line there, my friend?
Oh, you do? Is this Alex Jones?
Yes, this is Alex Jones. I just got this in from AP. I don't want anyone to ever believe anything could they read in the mainstream media. Oh, look, here's something from AP, so it must be true. We're going to break away now for my latest product. Feeling fat, feeling stupid. Get Alex Jones' new Don't Feel Fat or Stupid pills anymore.
Good. Glad I know I have the right show then. Okay. You were talking in your first hour. Well, I guess you're still in it. About death by 1,000 paper cuts. When you're talking about taking people out of their vehicles, when they're just really caught my attention right away. But before that, you were talking about kids with autism, and I beg to differ with what you're suggesting the government does with that. Because I have two friends. I have a friend with a son with autism, and I have a friend that has a daughter with Down syndrome. Now, with autism, what the government does here in Ontario is they give you $10,000, $5,000, and then 3 or 4 months later, I think they got another $5,000 to help them to whatever they have to do to help accommodate, whether it's buy a lot of pills, But yeah, so the government does. They do. They give you there's a $10,000 payment that's given to any child that's diagnosed with autism.
So
and with Down syndrome, well, it's coming from you and I.
Is that just an insurance program out of the pharmaceutical industry, or where the hell is that coming from?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, it sounds like, sorry about that. Here's your payola. That's what it sounds like. Here's your $10,000 for us screwing up your kid. That's what it sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree. I'm just letting you know that the government does. They do pay. But yeah, that's probably the reason why. I wouldn't. Nothing surprises me now. And then I have Laura Lee's her name. She has a daughter with Down syndrome, and she gets $875 a month. Mm-hmm. And her daughter is now 19, and she'll continue to get that until the day her daughter dies. Mm-hmm. And we pay for it. And yes, again, that's a sorry that we caused harm to your daughter.
Yeah, here's some payola.
Here's some money.
That's what it sounds like to me. I mean, it's this whole. I've met some people with autistic kids, and it breaks my heart. And when you look at the number of kids that are being born with autism or Down syndrome, whatever you want to call it, growing like every day, every week, more and more kids are being diagnosed with these things. It's not normal. It's not natural. So when the government says, well, we'll do this till the kid's 5, then we're cutting you loose, right? So they'll still pay them, right? But not enough to get the so-called professional help that's probably required. I can't imagine how devastating that is for a family.
Well, I know with again, Laura Lee, I'll just use that's just her first name. I don't think I'm giving away too much when I say that. Her daughter, she's one beautiful little girl. I mean, and I won't see her for 2 years at a time, and she comes running up and she gives me a great big hug and misses me, and I think about, had she not gotten the needle when she was young, what a different girl she could have been, but she's still beautiful. I mean, it's, you have to accept it for what it is. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it now. The damage has already been done.
But the fact is that this child is
she's been damaged by I feel it's through vaccinations.
Well, probably a combination of the vaccinations and the food and the sweeteners, these fake sweeteners and everything, and all these things that the parents consume this stuff, especially the mothers, right? And when your child is in the womb, it's feeding off of whatever you've ingested.
Exactly.
So then the child
and needles. No, they want pregnant mothers to take the flu shot.
Right. So this is going right through. I mean, the kid's feeding off all this stuff, right?
Yep.
So and then if the kid isn't damaged at birth, then we'll just vaccinate the snot out of it, and maybe we can do something later with it, right? Maybe a combination of vaccinations causes cancer down the road, or sterilization. Either one. If they sterilize you, you don't have kids, and if you get cancer, you're not going to be here very long. So they win on both ends. What the overall game is here, and so it irritates the hell out of me when this woman, who probably really never had much to do with fighting anybody in her life, decides that she's going to go and protest. She phones up looking for help, and ends up with the cops at her door. Because the MPP doesn't feel safe, felt threatened. I mean,
if I was an MPP, I'd feel threatened too. I had to be afraid to go to my door every morning.
Heading out of town quick. But this is the sad part. The police don't go like, "Grow up, you stupid ass," to the MPP. They don't say that, right? Oh, we'll go check it out for you. Like if the MPP calls me and says, "What's the problem?" Well, they were cutting this lady off her child's autism benefits or whatever, and she seems upset about it. Well, if I was a cop, I'd be upset about it too. So what do you want? Well, we feel threatened. By who? By this little 5'4" mother? Yeah. Get a life. Grow up, Mr. MPP.
Yeah, well,
right?
They've taken the word man out of the equation here in Canada.
Yeah, they've pretty well nutted a bunch of them.
Yep.
And that's unfortunate because it's just sad, isn't it? But the thing about this autism really drives me nuts because I don't like seeing anybody harm anybody. And you look at
nobody's looking at the source of what's really going on. I mean, with autism. I mean, growing up in school, I may have come across one child that we all dealt with him respectfully and understood. He had issues and he was trying to get along with everybody and trying to go through the system. And that was okay. Now, Jesus, you could have 5 or 6 in your class, something's not. We're doing something wrong. I mean, if our government is at all to be held accountable for anything, they should be at least looking at why is the rates of this occurring exponentially. It's tenfold now what it was 20 years ago or 30 years ago. And why?
Yeah, that's the question, why, right? It was the same as the cancers. When I was a kid, I mean, it's almost like autism is the new cancer, because when I was a kid, people didn't really talk about cancer, right? There weren't that many people got cancer.
That's right.
And then they started doing TV shows. They did the same thing with when the people coming out of the closets, right? First cancer, nobody ever talked about it, nobody really heard about it, and all of a sudden, as it started to move, as it started to grow quicker, or the number of people getting it, then they started doing TV shows about it, and they'd whisper about it, and then they kind of brought it more mainstream. And they brought it out of the closet. They brought it out of the closet, all of a sudden, everybody's getting cancer. They did the same thing with the gay shit, right?
Well, now you got Run for the Cure, and everybody's pumping millions of dollars and billions of dollars into that. Right?
But they did
where's that getting us?
They did the same thing with the gay stuff, which came right after the cancer stuff. And it was like, oh, hush, hush, and don't talk about it. And then they have a little TV program. Then it gets into the TV shows, and then all of a sudden it's out of the closet. It's mainstream. The same thing with autism.
And then it becomes normalized.
Exactly, normalized. Exactly. And cancer is now not abnormal; it's normal. It's almost abnormal if you don't have cancer.
Yeah, you're
Right.
you're not a human if you don't have cancer.
Right. So,
One for the cure.
They just keep dropping them damn templates down on top of us, and we got to understand they are templates to move their agendas forward. And we need to catch on to this. You know, when something new comes along, they're whispering about it, or they're having it on some kind of off-brand, talk shows and stuff, and then it starts to filter into the mainstream talk shows and whatnot. You know, it's a game that's being played on us to take us to a place which is normalization. They did the same thing with the Muslims. You know, that little house, or little mosque on the prairie. When I saw that show come out, I went, "What the hell is this about?" Oh, okay, this is the other template, another template, right? Getting ready for when they decide to flood us. We don't stand up against it because we saw it on TV, right? You know,
normalizing it. Yep.
They normalize everything, and none of what they're doing is normal.
Well, I don't know. I kind of like the fact that I can use a girl's bathroom. I like women. I'm just going to dress up in a skirt tomorrow, and I'm going down to use a public bathroom downtown. Yep.
Are you really? I mean, that's pathetic. I mean, I've heard people say, "Well, just make it all unisex. What's the big problem? Get over it," right? Well, there's such a thing as privacy.
Yeah, but they're talking about doing it. They're talking about allowing guys to go into the girl showers now. I mean,
well, I know
this is already. I think they passed it as law.
They have.
Somebody can call in and correct me if I'm wrong. But a couple of states have already passed it, saying that men can now use girls' showers with them if they feel they're transgendered.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to move there.
Well, move there. No, but it's always the people's fault, right? The people, I see people bitching about this constantly, right? Well, you better do something about it. You better go stand up to this stuff, right? You got 7-9 people in your average town hall dictating to you the standards of your community. Just take them out. Take them out. How many of those people are screwed up, right? Mentally, I would say the majority of them, right? So you're letting mental cases determine the future of your neighborhood. Why would you do that? These people are mentally ill.
Being devil's advocate here, I would say, okay, we are putting these people in our offices to work on our behalf. Now they're all corrupt, so that's not working. So let's kick the bums out. So how do you replace that?
How do you replace it?
Well, who's gonna stop the chaos and the mayhem that will ensue if we kick all the bums out of office and hang them with the hemp rope that I have a little bit of here?
Well, who's going to stop them? Well, it's very simple. Okay, you make a new situation. Okay, and that is when we redo this, that the oaths are to the people. Okay, the oath has to be to the people. Okay, they are bound to the people, and if
so, we got to put that down on paper somehow to make it truly understood that you're working for us.
That's right,
not the Queen.
Well, that's right, and you're not above us; you're below us. You're below the people.
There are servants.
Because you serve
that was
the people.
The whole concept to begin with, wasn't it? They were to be our servants?
Well, that was what they kind of said, but they kind of lied, eh? But the fact is that those who serve you are below you. Okay, so in other words, your municipal hall is supposed to serve you. The people in there are supposed to serve you. Okay, and if they're not serving you, then they're rejected that quick. Right? You're gone. You do not rise above those you serve and then tell those you serve what they're going to do and what they're not going to do and what the rules and regulations are. You don't do that. But people become complacent because you know as well as I know that if you ask anybody about an election coming, they'll all go, we got to vote. But you ask them, do they know anything about what's going on? No. Why are you voting for this? Well, because my dad did. But you don't know anything. You're completely ignorant by willful ignorance. But you still feel that we have the right to vote. Well, no, you don't have the right to vote. Ignorant people should not be able to vote, but this is why we ended up where we ended up at. Either you serve us or you serve something else. Well, if you're serving something else, you're not serving us. Okay, and that right there is a breach of trust. I mean, this nonsense with the UNPA, right? How the hell do we have somebody that's supposed to be the head of the country, so to speak, and also be a member of the UNPA, which is pushing for a United Nations Parliamentary Assembly, a global government? How the hell could that possibly happen?
Well, I go one better than that. I wonder how, and we've talked about this in the past. I wonder how you can get a bloodline as prime ministers, and the prime minister we have now, who nobody even knew existed other than he was one of Trudeau's kids, Trudeau Senior. And then he gets in a boxing match with Brazeau to make himself popular, and then from there he becomes Prime Minister of Canada. Jesus, if I'd have known that, I would have had 3 boxing matches.
Pathetic.
I can fight. I know how to fight.
Yeah, but his daddy did the same thing, right? They put a big show on for his daddy. He was the
and then you're going to get Clinton.
Star. Well, I got some people really ticked off because, the people say, well, they were exposing Clinton left, right, and center. I said, Clinton is the next president of the United States.
She is.
I have no doubt in my mind.
They're going to make a big deal about it, and then she's going to fucking completely destroy their country.
There's hardly any mainstream media about Hillary Clinton at all. It's a lot of nonsense about Trump, people protesting and this and that and the other thing, and the Pope says, the world's going to end if Trump gets in, and all of these so-called stars and whatnot. It's just a dog and pony show. On the other side, we got them chanting Bernie, Bernie. I mean, Clinton's just sitting there. All you have to do is look at who Clinton's attached to. And Clinton's the next president of the United States. Period.
No, I've said this. I said this when it first began. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, Trump's just there. He'll turn and he'll yeah. I mean, what did he just advertised he's worth $10 billion or something now with his daddy's money.
Yeah. Yeah. So with all this noises going on, Clinton will just come out of the blue at the end and win the election. Yep. And then
nobody's going to ask any questions.
Well, I don't know what happens after that. I mean, this is.
I think we're in for some real hurt, like between her and our prime minister here in Canada. I think they're going to be causing some very serious, quick harm to us. And that's scary.
Well, it is scary, and the to me the most probably the The what's really going to set this off, I think, is if and I'm out, I would want to put money on Clinton winning the election. Is that what happens to all the Tea Partiers, all the Ron Paulers, all of those people who have staked their claim to Ron Paul in the last elections and it didn't pan out. And all these people they're betting on Trump, who are saying that if America is lost if Trump don't get in. Well, wait a minute, Trump's just one guy, 310 plus million. How does the future of America sit on the shoulder?
All on one person.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But bringing Clinton in? Is that going to be the powder keg, I guess, that gets the conservative brand, if you want to call it that, redneck brand, whatever, the Bible Belt brand, excited, and we start getting some shoot 'em ups. So what my fear is that they're going to, if Clinton gets in,
literally
pretty much
shoot 'em ups. I know, yeah.
That they're going to take this opportunity to do the disarmament. Then they're going to say, you're not going to disarmament, then you're not going to disarm us, then you're going to get the shootouts, and they're going to use that opportunity to clean house so that basically all that's left is the sheep.
Well, they want it.
I know they want it. They want it bad, right?
Yep.
And so, you can't tell these guys enough that don't get in these stupid scuffles, right? If you're going to do something, okay, I mean, if you really care about America, don't worry about your little local scuffles and stuff like this unless you're going in to take down your town council. But other than that, I said this a long time ago. If you're going to save your nation, then you better be prepared to walk in there and arrest everybody. And if you're not prepared to walk in there and arrest everybody and take the media and explain very calmly to the people that America is now back in the hands of the American people, i.e. a reverse coup, you're not going to end up where you want to end up at. Okay. I don't know what the fear factor is. You can march 1 million people in there down Pennsylvania Avenue.
You're not busting through the gates.
1 million people down in there waving banners and flags and this and that and the other thing. But you can't cross that line. And that's a mental line. There's nothing there. It's a mental stop block.
Well, they got snipers on the roof, though.
Huh?
They got snipers on the roof, so the first few that jump through may get shot.
Well, I mean, how many did they send to the 2 world wars? How many did they send to Korea? How many did they send to Vietnam? How many other good people were killed?
I know.
Right? So I mean,
I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying that's.
No, I understand that, Chris. It's just
they're fortifying. They're fortifying that building because they realize that may happen, or somebody may attempt to make that happen. So now they've got it. I don't even think. I don't know. I mean, somebody can call in and tell us again, but I don't even think you're allowed to walk in front of the White House now, are you? Without a permit or
somebody got
permission?
shot the other day outside of it. I'm not
there you
sure
go.
What he was up to or anything, but they shot him. This is a government that's living in fear. They're afraid of the people. Why are the people afraid of the government? The government's who's afraid of you. They prove it every day, right? They are absolutely scared shitless of the people. So whether they got snipers on the roof or not, this has to get done, right? I don't think.
I totally agree with you, but
if 1 million
it's
people,
not going to happen.
Well, no. If you bring all these people to the gates, and 1 or 2 move forward, they'll likely get shot. If you move them en masse, the snipers, whoever, are going to go this ain't going to turn out good for us.
Yeah, run away.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're going to go, this is asinine. We can't back out. We can't defend this shit. And they're going to drop their guns and run, or they're going to come on side, right? But it's no different than Bolivia. The natives of Bolivia pushing Bechtel water out of there. I think 2 or 3 people got killed. But the Bolivian people decided that we're taking our water back. And it's up to the American people to decide whether or not they are going to take their country back. Right? That's it. That's a simple decision. How you go about it, I could care less. But either you're going to take your country back or you ain't going to have a country. Those are your 2 choices. It's really simple. Flip the coin. Make a choice. Because if you're waiting for one man to come and save your nation,
it's not going to happen. Yeah. No, good point.
With a clear mind, right? So, and these little fights that they, are going to have.
Well, you notice, though. I mean, it's obvious. Everybody that listens to your show understands. But to those that might be new listeners, this is an ongoing thing. The government always sets it up to divide and confuse and subvert any real action that people may, like, I guess in the States now, right? Like, they started out simply with calling, looking for terrorists. Now it's domestic terrorists. And those domestic terrorists are the people you're talking about, who are actually trying to form a union with others to get their country back. And this is the government's way of knocking that down.
Well, what they do is they flip it, right? Okay, the terrorists are the government. That's who the terrorists are.
You're Timothy McVeigh. What a bad man, really.
Well, this is the whole thing, right? They can center somebody out and then associate all kinds of other people with it. If you have this thought process, that thought process, then you must be one of these people. The fact of the matter is the government is a terrorist. They are the domestic terrorists. Okay, and anybody that's going up against them is not a domestic terrorist. They're a freedom fighter. Okay, they're fighting for the freedoms. Your government is not fighting for your freedoms. Okay, they're taking all your freedoms.
But they got the masses to believe that the freedom fighters are the bad guys. Go figure. This is how dumbed down we become. People don't understand. Maybe just sit back and listen to what we're talking about and say, "Oh, wait, maybe I am on the wrong side."
Well, yeah.
Because there is only one side if you want freedom, and the government's not it right now.
The government is definitely not it, and it has never been it. Right? It was set up as a fraud, and it continues to be a fraud. I remember the old pirate movies when I was a kid. I was always on the side of the pirate, right?
Me too.
Wow. And I think this is. I don't think enough people have ever gotten that stuff, right? The idea is that they would, these English with their little white wigs and their good-looking outfits,
nice little dresses,
would
transgender dresses,
would drag these pirates into the courts and say, you have, broke the law against the queen or the king or whatever, right? And the pirates just going, wait a minute. I'm just stealing back from you some of the stuff you stole from the people, because the only way you got what we took is you stole it. Okay? You, the government, stole it from the people. We're just stealing our share back, right? So
that's what makes us pirates.
Yeah, and the pirate's just saying his piece, right? Like, wait a minute. Who's the actual thief here? Who stole this first? Where did you get it? You stole it from the people. Okay, so we're stealing it from you because we are the people. And we're taking that back, right? Because who does it belong to? Us. You know, and it's the same thing today. Nothing's changed. You know, the lawyers make the rules for the real bandits. And the rules are used against the people who are not the bandits. And the rules, the law, is used to, enslave us. And can you, what? I have to take a 4-second break here. My dear, can you bring me a smoke? I'll smoke it out the window. It's a nice day. I must apologize to the United Nations and the medical profession that I'm about to have a smoke. And I hope I don't get a ticket for it. I hope not. Soon, though, right?
Don't smoke in your house.
Don't smoke in your car.
I keep the window down at 40 miles an hour when I do that. When I could do it before the highwayman stole my truck.
Well, I'm trying to get my cat to stop smoking. It's a bitch of a thing. It's bad influence.
It'll never happen.
Well, the neighbors are calling, your cat's smoking. Now my cat wants to smoke, right? It's bad influence, so I'm getting a lot of heat from the other cat owners around town. What are you going to do, right? My cat likes to smoke. And if you don't want your cat to smoke and you don't want to be influenced, then keep your cat away from my cat. Not my problem, right? I
don't know. It's such a professional show at times.
Well, it's Sunday. Give me a break. I'm really ticked off about that thing I was talking about last night in Arva, Ontario, with that little mill there that's been there since, 150 years or something now, and that actually mills real flour.
No, I was listening to that, and what an absolute fucking joke that is. What the
joke is I went to look at some the comments today, and it's the same garbage, right? Well, we need to write to the MPP and stuff, right? Or the MP, your federal MP, right? And tell them not to do this. Ask them to reconsider. And I'm thinking, the same crap. I mean, they walk into your town and go, boom. We say it's over. And the people don't go, what are you talking about? Hit the road, right? Who the hell invited you in here, right? And just said, it's not being shut down. You ain't shutting it down. You have the authority to shut it down. Well, this legalese crap says we can. Take that and shove it where the sun don't shine, right? And this idea of going, cap in hand to your, I hate that, cap in hand to your abuser.
Yeah.
To ask them not to abuse somebody. That irritates me more than I think almost anything. You know, this guy is a member of
the victim is asking the perpetrator for forgiveness and please let me do something here and give me back 10% of what I had and I'll be happy. Yeah, I know the whole concept is.
Well, they're doing the same thing with Michael Schmidt and all these other farmers, right? Michael Schmidt can milk his cow and consume his milk on his farm, and so can his family. But
all farmers here do that same thing.
Yeah. But nobody else can.
They're all strong, healthy guys, by the way.
Well, you won't find stronger guys or healthier guys.
No, they're very healthy. They exude it. You can when you walk in and you talk to them.
Yeah.
They're built like men.
Yeah.
And they speak intelligently.
Yeah.
They're not those dumb farmers with waiter boots on. You know what I mean? These guys, they got it together. Mm-hmm. And it's because they've been drinking raw milk.
Yeah, and they probably have a garden out back, even if they're growing GMO food, they probably got a garden out back, which is real seed food. Versus it's the same, these guys that are drinking raw milk off their farms who are sending it out to the milk marketing board. They don't want to drink that crap, right? That's where their income comes, but they don't want to drink it. But the fact is that it's the same thing they're doing with this guy in Arva. They're saying that he can run the mill, right? But when he's in the mill running it, he has to be locked in there so nobody else can access the place, okay? Which is absolutely ridiculous. He's saying, like, what about my safety, right? What happens if I fall down the stairs in here and I'm locked in here, nobody get in here? So it's not about safety. He said, at least not my safety, right? And he's absolutely correct. So, all the people got to do down there, London's a city of 500,000 people. Get your ass out to Arb. It's only a couple miles out of town. And stand shoulder to shoulder with this guy. So this equipment's been running 113 years, no injuries. 113 years, not one injury been reported in that mill. And you, the pencil pushers or the paper pushers, think you can come in and shut us down? Not going to happen. Hit the road, right?
Should be none of their business.
Well, it is none of their business. That's the problem. But it is anybody that's producing good food, they're going after. Mm-hmm. When you were talking about the farmers, go find me the autism rates in the Mennonite or the Amish communities. Go find me the cancer rates, right?
There isn't many.
No,
I'll tell you that.
Why
I know
is
that for a fact that we have some around here, and they're all very healthy people.
Yeah, and why is that?
You might not agree with their lifestyle, but they're healthy.
Well, yeah, and
Now, what if we were all healthy like that? Well, we don't necessarily have to have their belief in what they read and how they interpret what they read.
They're not flying rainbows.
They live clean, and therefore they don't have autism rates. They don't have cancers. Mm-hmm. They don't have heart diseases.
No. And they live to be a very old, very healthy age. There's a big difference between living to be old and healthy and living to be old eating pharmaceuticals for the last 20 years of your life.
That's right.
Huge difference, right? One's alive and one's the walking dead, And we got to get back to that, and we have got to get enough backbone to tell these pencil pushers, get out of here. And that, means that we have to get a hold of.
There's so much power higher up the chain that power
really doesn't have.
You speak about going locally, and I agree with that. You got to start local. And Will Roberts, God bless his soul, just said that all the time. And just before he passed away, he stopped his radio program to do just that. He was going vocal local, and that was the name of his show, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to end up running for mayor again.
My point is this comes down from a very higher chain of families that have caused this trickle down. It's not like the trickle down effect that you hear of most often. This is a trickle down from probably the devil himself. So, I mean, you're not going to get the head of the snake by going to your local council.
You are. That's where you get the head of the snake, is at the local level. Because once the local level, okay, that's what's holding the head up, right? Okay, once the local level's been taken over and the people at the local level are not doing what they're told to from the upper level, all of a sudden the upper level ain't got no power left. Okay, it's the local level that is implementing the agenda of those on-scene characters.
But by the time you can make that happen, Ron, you're going to have again, I'll use what I said before, a death by 1,000 paper cuts.
No,
because you're going to get one council that maybe will be on board, but then you've got to fight with all the other little municipal councils around you, and then you've got to build from there.
Well, it's about getting the people.
The guy at the head here, and I know who it is. Well, in my thoughts, anyways.
It's Bill, right?
It's the devil. Anyways, it's going to take forever, if ever.
Well, no.
So you got to get everybody together quick and get up there and just kill this guy right at the top right away, and then all of his friends will run scared.
Well, that's the same
and say,
thing.
"Holy shit, I'm next."
Well, it's the same attitude as when they burned down our legislative building on the East Coast, and then we went down there and burned down the White House. Same shit. Okay,
yeah.
And those guys, figured they were going to run into some serious resistance. They were absolutely surprised when they got there. Everybody run away. And it's the same thing. There may be some snipers on the top of the White House. Okay, but you take a march and you walk on in there. You go to ABC, NBC, CBS, and all that, and you walk on in there, and you just tell them to stand the hell down. Okay, we got a message. And it's over that fast. Okay, you can do it that way quick.
I agree. No, I think that would be awesome. I dream for that day, but not going to happen.
Well, see, this is the other problem that I have. The
negativity.
Yeah. I want to kick this paper up. So did you get a chance to look at that paper I sent you?
I
sent you a paper.
I was drunk and tired, and I clicked it, opened it, and I passed out. I didn't get to finish listening to your show last night. I was so drunk and tired.
There's a paper with some serious punch, right? It knocked you out. But I'm gonna actually go throw that in the chat because this is what I'm talking about. Now, I don't like the paper. Because it's
the concept you like.
Well, the concept is that it's out there. Okay, that's the point. It's out there, and that's the important part. So I'm just going to go find it quick, and I want to stuff it into the chat. Now, this particular. Now, where did I send that to? I sent it to you, right? So I should. Oh, let's see if I can find it here. Oh, here it is. I'm going to throw this into the chat because and it says it's a Métis newspaper, and I'll have to reconnect the chat here, I guess. Do I? What's going on here? This is, I've had so many people tell me this can't be done, that can't be done, this can't be done, that can't be done. Okay, so I ran into this paper that it's called a Ward paper, and they've taken, what is this going on? Stupid thing here. Why is that not letting me in? I'm banned out of the chat room, apparently. Jesus.
I'd ban you too.
Shut up. Okay, so it's in there now. Now, this particular paper, these guys, it's costing the last ones they put out, it's costing them $65,000 a month to produce this thing. It's only a 16-page paper. And it's called Your Ward News. Now, this is from 2015, but they've if you scroll down the page, you will find new ones. Here's January 2016. It's a very rough. There's the spring. Okay, this is the newest one, and they're now punching this out to 300,000 homes. Okay. So they're getting her done, okay? They're getting her done. And it's only, like I said, I think it's around a 16-page paper. They're getting it punched out. They're punching it out through one of the things I get from people. And I realize a lot of the people that listen to these shows are basically flat, broke, busted. I get that.
What?
A lot of people that listen to these shows are not what you would call financially well off. I certainly ain't.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay, so when you say, this is what we need to do, they start looking at cost and stuff. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? How are we going to do this? We can't do this. We can't distribute. I'm so sick of hearing we can't. It's ridiculous. So that particular paper was a watch me do it, right? Now he's really going after the establishment, rightfully so. Okay, the graphics to me are absolutely horrendous. And I am most definitely not a fan of Lawrence McCurry, who seems to be writing for this thing. But that's beside the point. Inside here is some interesting information. And some of these, I don't know if it's in all of them or not, but I mean, he doesn't pull no punches. And let's see, it's not in this issue, I don't think, but in some of the issues, they are teaching people how to run for local council. Okay? Same thing. We got to get a hold of something somewhere, right? We have to be in a position that our voices can be heard. Now, Carl Bromwich up near Algonquin Park is a perfect example. He's raising absolute hell up there because the council all of a sudden doesn't have free run anymore. Okay? They got him to contend with. Now, he's extremely well versed in what's going on, so they can't put it in without the public knowing about it. Okay? He's in the paper every freaking week. Carl said this, Carl did that, Carl did this, Carl made him crazy. Now, they managed to get the people now excited because the people up there, they're getting rid of this attitude, oh, well, they'll do whatever they want to do and there's nothing we can do about it attitude, which sucks. And he's gotten to the point, well, there is something we can do about it.
Yeah, you have to wake people up to the realization that
that they have
things can turn real quick on a dime. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to have they had the council meeting. They got so much shit going on up there now. People are so ticked off. Instead of nobody showing up at the council meetings, they had to go book the arena in order to facilitate the 500 people they're going to show up at this meeting. And this is a very small rural area. When you can pull 500 people where you couldn't get two to go to a council meeting because their attitude says, well, it's a waste of time, they don't listen to us, they do whatever they want anyways, and that's just one guy. He doesn't have majority vote. If you get enough people to run and get majority in there, now you can tell the head of the snake to go suck air. Now, in Ontario here, and I'm sure it's the same in the States, if your city council does not do what the state tells it to do, they have the power to come and shut you down, remove you, and put in their own people. And that would be just classic to show the people where the power is coming from. Okay? That you are a slave of the state, period. Doesn't matter what town you live in. The town council does the bidding of the state, period. And if they don't do the bidding of the state has the power to come pull them out of there. I would imagine it's the same in the States as it is here because it's all built on the same system. And it's demonocracy. And if the underlings don't do as the demons want, the demons got the power to come pull them out of there and replace them with the people they want. Now, that would really wake people up. If you have the state or the province coming in and trying to shut down councils when you finally got the people in there that are there to specifically represent the people, not the state. And the state comes in and says, well, you're not doing what you're told, so we're going to pull you out of here. That will wake people up big time. So, I got to take my hat off to this guy because they're pumping out 300,000 homes and businesses is what this paper's getting out to. So anybody says it can't be done, there's your evidence, yes, it can be done. Okay? And it's got to get done. Because I fight this all the time. Well, the internet's the answer. The internet's the answer. Horse's ass. It's a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool.
Yeah.
Okay? But average Joe, you know it and I know it, Chris. You walk down your street and you start knocking doors and you start asking people what they actually know, and you'll find out most of them are still sucking up the nonsense coming through the media. Okay? Mm-hmm. They're still getting their news from the newspapers. They're still getting their news from the TVs. Okay? And they have no background, no information, no history to deal with. And you go talk to the average person about what you know, and they're going to look at you like you got three heads.
Well, it's like, I'm trying to connect with my son, my 15-year-old son. And he is listening, eh? He actually does listen to a little bit of your show every now and again. It's very difficult because he is only 15 years old, and he's been indoctrinated since he was in kindergarten. To a different system, but he's getting what's going on, but it's a battle. Like it's a fight to get him to understand the truth of what's going on and what reality is, because he has not been taught reality since kindergarten.
No,
and so now it's 15-year battle to get him back. Is the way I feel right now.
You're trying to get your son back.
I am. I'm trying to get him. Yeah, I am.
And that's the duty of every parent. But how
he
many
has friends
parents
that actually listen to your show?
Yes,
maybe listening today, but he doesn't necessarily listen all the. But it's not just your show. It's any Clint Richardson and the Shawley show just before yours. These guys, man, there's so much that is good that you guys are giving out that our kids need to listen to, so we can get the younger crowd, because we're not going to live forever.
Well, no, we're not.
And if we can't get these kids on board with us, what society is.
Yeah, but then,
we're on UCY, so I'll say fucked. Thank you, Jules, for allowing us freedom of speech.
Yes, absolutely. But Chris, I know you're working hard with your son, okay? And it's uphill battle. I mean, that preacher, that Lutheran preacher, when I went to all the churches years ago trying to find a place that I could hold meetings in that, none of them wanted anything to do with what reality is, because they weren't pushing reality. They're pushing the UN agendas, the globalist agendas through the churches. And when I found that Lutheran minister, and sat down and had a chat with him, and he was saying that he has to basically deprogram his children every day when they come home from school.
Yeah, right? Every day.
Yeah. And
I know.
This was back when they were running around with that Inconvenient Truth movie. It was a while back. And, we talked, and I showed him the documents showing how the UN got into the churches and how they were getting the churches to implement their agenda. He was absolutely appalled by that, thanked me for it. I gave him a copy of 1984, which he'd never read, and told him to think about it for a couple of weeks, and if it works for him, I would be pleased as punch to be able to use his church for a meeting hall. And he was almost immediately vacated out of there, right? He disappeared, but this is the problem, like you're trying to teach your son, he's trying to deprogram his children. But how many parents are doing that? That's the question. Okay, how many of your son's friends' parents are actually trying to put some reality into their children's heads? I would think that the number is extremely small.
That's right. It's a low percentage, but there is some. Like I said, I have two Christian friends. Their parents are starting to look at
right
what you talk about on your show all the time. They're not quite there, but the kids are starting to ask questions, which is very important. That's a good start.
Yeah, and
question what you've been taught. You know, have I been taught reality, or have been taught what they told me I'm supposed to be taught?
Yeah, and the kids have to start pushing back to the teachers, right? They got to start putting the teachers on the hot plate, right?
Yeah, well, the teachers have been taught the same system, right? So.
Well, I know, but the children have to. The children,
your doctors and your lawyers. And...
Yeah, but I think the children have the great opportunity to become the teachers, if you know what I'm saying, right? Because the teachers were indoctrinated. The teachers don't have a clue for the most part. They have books put in front of them. This is a curriculum. This is what you teach them, right? Well, I don't feel very comfortable, showing a grade 3 student a dildo. Well, it's for the betterment of the children, so says the state. So you have to do it.
Well, that's the thing, it goes back to like you talk about a lot, and you mean it from your heart. It's child abuse.
Well, how could it be anything but?
We had sex education in grade 6 for one day, and all the kids were laughing so bad when the teacher was explaining to us her womb, and the kids were all giggling, like, 'cause, the kids aren't thinking about that.
Yeah, like it's
at grade 6. That was a grade 6. Now they're doing it in what, 1, 2, 3, grade 3.
Yeah, and it's much more.
Which Liza could probably inform you. Liza was back in the chat earlier.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. I seen her chatting there for a bit. I mean, she's a teacher. She could probably explain better where they're starting from now and how they're doing it. And I'd be interested to know, because my kids are all grown up now, but I got grandchildren now, right? And are they going to start learning about a woman's womb in grade 1? What the hell are you talking about, teacher?
Yeah,
and
I know.
If I want to wear a dress, but I'm a guy, I can wear a dress, and I can shower with her. Cool. Yeah, I don't get the whole concept. I mean, well, I do get the whole concept, but I don't understand why people are allowing this concept. We got to just stop that right away, nip it right in the bud, and say, no, okay, you guys have pushed us for so long on many areas, but here's where we have to draw a line somewhere, and this is it.
Well, it has to
I don't want my son wearing a girl's dress and showering with the girls.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, it has to stop. It just has to stop. And the parents, I know there's lots of good parents out there that care, but there's way too many parents that just say, well, I'm too busy to deal with this. The school's supposed to know.
Well, they're forced into it, Ron. You know that. Everybody's got to work. You got your mothers and your fathers both working, slaving their asses off just to pay their fucking hydro bill. I don't got time for my kids. I'm too busy trying to keep a roof over our head.
Yeah, that's the problem, and so they. But the parents really.
You deal with my kids, and I'll keep the roof over our head. How's that? Okay, good deal. There's a contract right there, right? Between you and the government. Right.
So. I just hope the kids, years ago I told the kids, they better start asking the teachers some serious questions. And what I heard from the kids over and over and over again was that they weren't allowed to, and that they would get in trouble if they did. And I'm going, well, do you see where the problem here is now? Okay. So, you got to ask the questions. So, what I said to them was have fun with it. Don't be fearful. Have fun with it, okay? Ask the question. And if the teacher doesn't want to answer the question, don't fight with the teacher. Just say, okay, thank you, and put your hand down and sit down and shut up and don't get mouthy. And then your friend sticks his hand up or her hand up, and the teacher says yes and asks the identical question. Okay? Until the teacher either answers it or leaves the room. Okay? But okay, we go back to the ants and the grasshoppers again. If there's a teacher there, that's the grasshopper. You got probably 30 ants in the room. Okay? The teacher has a false authority, and you're supposed to bow to that authority. But if that authority is not working for you,
respected.
Well, the job of the teacher is to teach the children, not lie to the children, teach them useful stuff. And you just keep asking the question. I mean, we used to run teachers. And when I was a kid in school, the first thing we would do is we would assess the teachers. And we would make a decision over the first week which teachers we were going to put up with and which teachers we weren't going to put up with. Which teachers we thought were decent and which teachers we thought were idiots. And once we had made our assessments and decided who was staying and who was leaving, then we went to work. We drove more teachers out of the school than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah, but the problem is nowadays is that they're all drones. So you can't pick and choose your teacher because they're all spouting the same.
Then we run them all out.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we had teachers leaving the class crying. We had teachers leave the class never to be seen again.
Been there. I know that.
I bet
that was only like 30 years ago.
Well, it was a lot longer than that.
But you can't do that now.
30,
because they're all drones, so you can't pick and choose like we used to be able to do.
Well, yeah,
I've had teachers leave the classroom crying, literally. Yeah. But that was, like I said, that was back in the day where you had some that were towing the party line, and then you had the ones you respected that actually wanted to teach you something.
Right. Yeah.
But you can't do that now. They're all drones.
Well, then fine, you run them all out. Okay.
Yeah.
If they're going to try and screw with your life, then you have an obligation to screw with their life. Okay. You got 30 kids in a classroom. And start asking teachers questions. The teacher starts telling you about global warming or something. Say, excuse me, dear teacher. Okay, you got that wrong, right? And it's, oh no, Jimmy, your parents probably told you not to believe this or that, but they don't know. They're not scientists. But when you got 30 kids saying, sorry, teacher, we've looked into this, you're clueless. Okay? Right? You're lying to us, okay? You've picked up their lies, and you're propagating their lies to us as truth. Now, we're going to show you why you're wrong. That's the job of the student. Not to sit there and just suck up whatever's told to them. The job of the student is to challenge. This job of the student has always been to challenge. I don't think the students get that.
Well, because they've been taught not to do that.
Well, then we need to teach them to do it.
I know. No.
So we what I'm trying to say, I think, Chris, is that we have a responsibility. Okay? We who know what's going on have to basically rock the freaking boat here. And we have to get the kids rocking the boat. And, here, see, this is good. This is bringing back memories. We got a teacher so pissed off that he threw chalkboard erasers at us. Well, that's good. We've all had, I hope everybody's had a chalkboard eraser tossed at them at some point.
I got one, I got chucked one in the head in grade 4.
Did you?
I was being an asshole, and, yep. I can almost remember his name. I respected him so much after that. I was being a goof, and he whipped a piece of chalk and clunk right off my forehead. I went, oh, I'll shut up now.
But the kids, when I talk to the kids, I mean, you're right in that point. When I talk to the kids today, they just straight out tell me they're not allowed to say boo, right?
That's right.
They're pinned.
That was the party line.
And I'm going, well, see where the problem is here, right? Your teachers are threatening you. Your teachers are threatening you that if you ask a question that they don't want to ask, that they're going to mark you a permanent, and that it could affect your future career choices. You got your teachers threatening you with that kind of garbage, right? That's a lot different than chucking a chalkboard eraser at you. You got the teacher pissed off and acted immediately like you're supposed to react, right?
Yeah.
And now everybody just runs off to, what do they call those? They're safe places, right? When
I feel triggered just by you saying that.
Well, I mean, you got universities with safe places. I don't feel comfortable. Well, you don't feel comfortable, but you're pro transgender washrooms. You're making no sense, right? They really, truly, I mean, if they're having safe places in universities, you can just imagine how screwed up or how hard they're working on the children today. I mean, if these people made it to university and they're getting safe places and they've been taught that if they don't feel comfortable, and I hear that so often when I talk into government agencies and that, I'm not feeling very comfortable. What's that supposed to mean? Right? Well, I'm feeling threatened. Whoa. You're in a government agency, you twit. Okay? I'm asking you questions. You don't answer the question, so you tell me you're feeling threatened? By what? A question? Well, I'm not feeling comfortable. I've actually told them, some of them, I'll wait. You go to your safe place now, and then when you feel better, you come back and we'll continue the conversation. All right? Usually I get hung up at that point. It's
hard having a legitimate conversation with any government official. I've tried it myself, and they tell you what it is and how it is, and if you don't like it, they just hang up on you. There's no discussion.
That too's changed. The
conversation. I do this all the time.
The conversation.
I'm going to jail in September because of this. I continually fight the system, and I end up always being the guy at the raw end of the stick.
Yeah, but you have to keep doing that. I'm
not quitting.
I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm going back on the road, and I don't know how this is going to work out. I guess I'll get towed again. I don't know. Maybe you and I will be doing the same jail time in September. Who knows?
We'll be sellies.
They've taken their my right to make a living away from me, and I haven't caused anybody any harm anywhere, anytime.
They've done to me, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. And you do not have the authority to dictate to me that I can or cannot work. Right?
I've caused no harm. I've never caused any harm.
That's right. Well, you cussed on the show. I mean, I'm sure that harmed someone.
Well, that's pretty harmful.
Sure, if there was a teacher.
All the listeners at UCY, I'm sure they're pretty offended.
I'll sit
now, if we were on Revolution Radio, you might have some offended listeners.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. Like that guy that called me today before this show was calling into Revolution Radio and ended up calling me on Skype. And he was telling me that Studio B and A are running the same shows at the same time because he listens to on his cell phone or something. The next, whenever, right? He just plugged in.
Well, they do run. You got Studio A and Studio B, so they both run simultaneously together.
No, but he said they're both running the same show. Like when he goes to Studio B, on his cell phone or Studio A, he's getting the same show. Right?
Which is your show?
I don't know.
I'm confused.
No, he said he can't get Studio B, right? When he goes to Studio B, it's broadcasting Studio A. And when he goes to Studio A, it's broadcasting Studio A. So,
well, maybe you should let your listeners know that we're trying to get you in a European broadcasting network, and so there'll be options to listen to you on another station. Obviously, you're going to stick with UC because it's golden, but Revolution Radio, I don't know. I'm getting tired of it myself, be honest with you.
I've been actually tired of it since not long after I got on it, but you know, got to keep cracking away. I mean, every now and again I get hooked up with somebody, usually a woman, usually elderly, who's got some scrap going on.
She got money?
Got bigger than have. And no, actually, poor Helen there, you know, like, you know, she's...
oh, Helen. Yeah, you had her on as a caller.
Well, she called me.
Beautiful woman.
She called me the other day, and it was interesting stuff. But, you know, her children went through, you know, they paid to put their kids through university and that, and she's so sad about that because her children are ruined, right? They've ruined her children, right? They're brain dead, you know, and that's got to be tough for a parent. I'm sure it's tough for you. You know, you see with clear eyes, right? And
well, I just don't know what I'm going to do. Like, and I ask this question to anybody that's listening: what are you going to do with your children? All the manufacturing is gone.
Yeah,
I am a carpenter by trade, so and I have all the tools, equipment to get any job done, and I'm going to hand them over to my son, who I'm trying to train now to do what I do, only because of the fact that there's nothing else out there for him other than working at McDonald's.
Right.
You know, they've stolen everything that we can do on our own. They've taken it from us and given it to people in India and China.
Yeah.
I had 6 Muslims here today installing fiber optics for Bell Canada.
Yeah.
6 Muslims that barely speak English, all with beards.
Yeah.
And looking at our women as they were walking by like they were disgusting because they were wearing a T-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to go out and get in a fist fight with them. And I'm pretty good at that kind of stuff. Well, I was, but I'm getting old now. And I did. I wanted to go out and just start swinging. So you got a problem? Get out of here. But,
Yeah.
you know, but there's 6 jobs that we white European-bred men could have.
Yeah.
But it was given to 6 Muslims that just came from Iraq.
Yeah. What are they doing?
Okay,
here?
in my country. In my country.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What are they doing here?
Am I a racist?
No, you're not a racist, right? You're a man that gives a damn, right? And this racist nonsense, I never put up with that shit. I said, I'm not a racist, I'm a realist, right? And we're supposed to sit down and watch while we're wiped off the face of the map, where everything that our forefathers built is handed over to somebody that doesn't want nothing to do with us in the first place. Like, give me a friggin' break. I enjoyed the hell out of that day, Chris. I want to thank you.
What day?
What?
What day?
I said I wanted to thank you. I enjoyed the hell out of this today.
Oh,
today. Today.
No, thank Ron. You always thank the wrong people. Thank we need to thank you for doing what you do, and people got to realize that.
Well,
you know, it's your voice, and then people that are listening, you were helping to wake people up, and that's more important than anything. Than having a caller call in or anything that I do.
Well,
you being here all the time doing what you do.
One of the things that irritates me is all of these, you know, documents we read 10 years ago or whatever are all in play now. That makes me nuts. You know, we got to push them back. Anyways, I hear music. So, 3 o'clock. Behind the woodshed, the howl's on. So be
selling lies and buying time, killing people that's alive. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, single water, single man, making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of man, fuck the brackets, only one they bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, they burn, the kids, no one makes countries, Lie to your face, fight and die. Cause
Take care, everybody. Have a great day.